Social media. This is Out of Touch, hosted by Lucy,
Audrey,
and Rosie.
We're 7th grade students from Hampton Academy.
Today we will be talking about social media and how out of touch with reality it is, how dangerous it can be, as well as pros and cons of many different platforms.
We interviewed some of our fellow students in our SRO. We asked them about their opinions on social media.
Then we'll start to move on to what platforms are trending and used the most.
There are interviews scattered throughout this episode. Enjoy!
Here's our first interview with our SRO, Detective Taranzoni.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So, what social media platforms do you have?
I have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
And which of those do you use the most?
I use Snapchat the most.
Okay. And what are some pros and cons of Snapchat?
Some pros are, for me personally, it helps me keep in touch with all my friends. Most of my friends live all along the East Coast, so we don't get a chance to hang out in person. So I get to stay in contact with them and share what we're doing via Snapchat. Some cons are, I think it can make kids super jealous if they see friend groups hanging out with each other and they might not be invited, things like that.
Okay, thank you. That was our SRO, Detective Taranzoni.
Social media has so many pros and cons, but when it comes to platforms like TikTok and Snapchat, things can get dangerous.
Do you remember in 2021 when a lot of kids were taking part in the Devious Like Challenge? That was when kids would take things from schools, including sinks, toilets, soap dispensers, and so much more. This event caused me a lot of stress with all the platforms I have. But what about you and other people?
Yeah, things like this can cause people to feel a lot of stress. Some people end up getting involved with things they don't even want to take part in.
There was also a social media trend last year telling people to go to schools with weapons. We had multiple police officers at our school. That shows that even social media can affect our safety.
Yeah, I agree, Rosie. Social media can have a big effect on our world.
Detective Taranzoni said that his most used platform was Snapchat. He also said that Snapchat is one of the most dangerous platforms with about 500 million followers or people who use it. On Snapchat, there's a people tracker, which shows you where your friends are, and your friends can track where you live and where you're currently at.
I personally am not on much social media, but I know a few people who tell me that it's not that bad.
If you think about it, in people's minds, social media might not be terrible. Social media is used for a lot of people's jobs. Many jobs will use things like Facebook and Instagram to advertise their business.
Yeah, I agree, but there are lots of inappropriate things no matter your age. Lots of people think that social media is bad, but things like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are social media too.
Well, now let's see social media through the eyes of a 7th grade student, Jagger. I'm here with 7th grade student, Jagger. So, Jagger, do you have a lot of social media?
I have quite a few social media platforms. I have TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, and things like Netflix and Spotify.
Okay. What platforms do you use the most?
I use TikTok the most.
Okay, and what are some pros and cons of TikTok, and how dangerous is it for someone your age to be on TikTok?
I think one of the biggest pros of TikTok is that you can look up and you can find out about anything. But that can also be a con because there are some things that you shouldn't be able to see.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jagger. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And that was 7th grade student Jagger. Jagger said that her most used platform was TikTok. TikTok is one of the most dangerous platforms with around 1 billion users. There are many inappropriate parts of TikTok. What do you guys think?
TikTok can be great with lots of positives, but it also has a lot of negatives. There's inappropriate content and challenges that can influence people to do those challenges, and it can end up going really bad.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like TikTok can be such a learning experience, but it's still scary, and you have to be very careful, especially when little kids use TikTok because kids don't know too much about scams of the internet.
It's not only TikTok and Snapchat that are dangerous. There are also more platforms on social media that can be really harmful.
What do you guys think some pros and cons are of different platforms?
Well, platforms like TikTok and YouTube can be pretty harmful, but at the same time, it can have videos that can teach you to learn new hobbies and skills.
X, formerly known as Twitter, is also very unsafe because not as many people have X. They think it's not as dangerous, but in reality, X is one of the most dangerous platforms because there really isn't a filter, so people can post and say whatever they want.
I totally agree, but can't social media also have an effect on people's mental health? When you think about it, the platforms that have no filter can show disturbing content that can make people upset. Also, people can compare themselves to others.
Not only mentally can it harm you, but physically too, like in all those crazy challenges that Audrey talked about.
Is there really any good stuff about social media?
Of course there is. Like when people need it for work or some kind of project.
There's also video games. While people might think video games rot your brain, they can really affect you in a positive way.
Video games can make people happy, which releases your happy hormone, dopamine.
Video games can also help your hand-eye coordination. The only bad thing about it is that people can chat on it, and sometimes it's not very nice.
It's really the people on social media who make it bad.
That's true, but the platform also contributes.
How so?
Well, if the platform isn't taking down the videos or changing the way the platform works, that could be a reason we see bad stuff.
Also, social media can be super addictive.
Yeah, Lucy, I agree.
But really, too much of anything could be bad for you. On an ending note, this was
Out of Touch.
Thanks for listening.